Welcome to Difficult Conversation Africa broadcast. I present to you the host, Yinka Olaito.
Welcome to Difficult Conversation Africa podcast, a platform where we raise issues many are afraid to raise. More importantly, it's a development-focused platform where we just want to raise certain issues that many will like to postpone. In this edition, we'll be looking at a very difficult conversation indeed, Lagos property laws and what you need to know either as a tenant or as a stakeholder, real estate person. Before I introduce my guest, normally, I will actually give us the background of the discussion. Lagos State property law govern the acquisition, the use and transfer and management of real estate, ensuring fairness and legal compliance to all parties involved. This law addresses ownership, tenancy, registration, construction, protection, and many other. So in this episode, I have a lawyer, the CEO of Hillcrest Solicitor, Barrister Suleiman Ehizoge. Welcome to the platform.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for coming. And I know that even before we came on here, it looked like a controversial law in the conversation indeed.
Yes.
We know that many people do not even know, or some are running away from following the due diligence, and therefore they become victim of what we need to do. With the let's look at the first question, sir. Lagos property law comprises of many things a lot of stakeholders are ignorant about, and this is making some overzealous individuals overstepping their boundaries. What are your thoughts?
Well, thank you very much for that question. Like you said, the Lagos State property law itself, it's massive. Because like we always say when we talk generally, whether it is by law or local fathers, we say the only thing Lagos State really has is land. And, it's not like
you did actually have land.
Well, they're actually trying to get enough land from the sea or trying to get that's another issue. So, but that's because everybody wants, we have to understand everybody wants to be in Lagos. Everybody wants to stay in Lagos.
And that is
everybody believes like how they believe that in the streets of America and New York it's paved with gold. So they also believe that Lagos, one way or the other, is paved with gold. And by the time you're walking, you hit somebody on the shoulder. Somebody gives
until you get to Lagos.
Until you get to Lagos and you now see the difference. You now understand that you have to live in Akuta and walk in VI. You have to live at Lambe and go to Aja every day for work and all this. So many, it's an all-encompassing issue. The Lagos State property law, it's deep, it's wide, it covers so many areas. You're talking about tenancy, you're talking about regulatory land, so many aspects of the property law of Lagos State is deeply wide. It's not something that you can start talking about. I know Lagos State over time have tried to categorize and break down their various aspects of this law to try and make it simpler for people and everybody, but it's not, I think we still have there's still a long way to go.
So why we all agree it's a mix of a bundle of issues. But how will an average person who is not a lawyer, how would they scale? How would they weather through all these gamut of laws?
It's not a matter of being it's not a matter of being a lawyer.
Okay.
It's not a matter of being a doctor. It's not a matter of being an engineer. It's just a matter of knowing what to do and how to go about knowing what to do. You want to acquire a property in Lagos, you need to do the right things. You need to make sure that you get the proper professionals to do all your due diligence for you. A lot of people in Lagos, they just leave it, you don't need it, let's go there, do it. Even for tenancy, even for acquiring property, rent, get your lawyer to read the documents, to read your tenancy. A lot of lawyers sneak in various clauses that into tenancy agreements. By the time they go to court, they show you signed. Yes, that's the end. So you need to be able to get professionals to help you through. It's not just being a lawyer. Even lawyers, we make mistakes now. We also fall into these traps. We also have issues with our own landlord. For those of us that don't have our own personal buildings for our offices or for our residential, we also are also in the same boat. We are also we are also the Nigerians that are living in Lagos. By law, if you stayed in Lagos for over 10 years, 40 years, you become a Lagosian.
That's true.
Yes. So it affects everybody. It affects everybody. I know over time, Lagos states have tried various ways to help people. But people themselves have not really helped themselves.
So you are saying that it is wise for, I will go into the next question, but I'm learning that it is wise that even you should get a lawyer to be involved in your tenancy agreement before you move in.
Yes.
Don't just sign anything.
Don't just sign it. There are some tenancy agreements that you see that will tell you that the tenancy is for a year certain. A lot of people really don't know what that means. It means that the tenancy is for that period of that year, and you are not entitled to a 6 months notice. Yes.
And mostly we always assume
you always assume that they will give me 6 months.
They must give you 6 months notice.
All that lawyers, people also believe that before they give you a 6 months notice, your tenancy would have expired, and they will not issue you 6 months. It's not done. That is not what the law says. The law says that you give a 6 months notice. Why will I give you 6 months after a 6 months notice after your time? Who will pay for that 6 months? Are you supposed to be there free?
So it is always 6 months before
during the expiration of your tenancy. The law, even if the 6 months expires after your tenancy, it's still better. Maybe a month or 2 months after the expiration of your tenancy. It makes sense. But you have to give that 6 months before, not after, because you'll be shooting yourself in the leg as a landlord. Because that man will stay in that house 6 months and he will not pay. He will tell you he's entitled to it. So those are the, as much as tenants, we feel the pain of tenants, we also have to also consider the pain of landlords. Because you have very, very difficult tenants, just like you have evil landlords. Yes.
Lagos State Property Protection Law 2016 prohibit forceful entry, illegal occupation by land grabbers, money and criminalize such act. It also protects property owners and investors from harassment and fraudulent skills, boosting confidence in the real estate. But you and I know that I buy a land now and I want to start. You find before you open your eyes, you find people there. How should an investor or somebody who just bought a property and want to begin to build, how should they handle such like that?
You see, I'm very even happy about that particular question, because even as a lawyer, I've had various instances of this Omonile issue. As a young lawyer, very young lawyer, when I just finished law school, like 2003, I came to Lagos. A client of mine got a property, 2 acres of land somewhere in a village called Igbalu in Ikorodu. I just started to drive. I will drive my car, struggling to drive my car with somebody by myself. When we bought the land from the family and everything, we finished. Then all of a sudden, these Omonile Jagung, they come, whether they call themselves a Jagung Bale or something like that.
Yeah.
They just showed up and said that they had a plot inside our 12 plots, our 2 acres. And I was like, how? How is it possible? And I went to the Bale. I said, you should handle this situation or else I will handle it. I was young. I was very aggressive. I had a mindset of something totally different. And I was like, tell them to handle it or I will handle it this way. Then I said, they will handle it. But they kept on, and these guys kept on delaying. We were trying to fence and they were disturbing. I kept quiet. And the next thing, when they were having their meeting, I acted. The Lagos State tried by bringing that law, the land grabbers law. Their unit is just beside the Ministry of Justice in Lagos State. Initially, when they started, there was a lot of bites. There was a lot of bite because I have dealt with them. In fact, I have a matter that they are joined in that matter right now in court. I filed a matter where they are joined in that matter in court. When they started, there was a lot of bite. We actually curtailed the excesses of all these Omoniles all over Lagos State. Over time, it curtailed them. Things were regularized. But with time, with our normal thing, it became lapses. You will send letters to invite these Omoniles, they will not come. I had a matter there. We sent letters and letters to the Omonile at Land Grabbers Unit. They never came. They said there was a letter, there was a warrant of arrest being signed by the AG then. They never saw any warrant. Nobody was arrested. With time, these guys have come back again. They have come back again because the force that was there initially has withdrawn.
Yeah.
The bite that was there has withdrawn. And that is what happens with almost all of our policies and laws that we pass in this country. Initially, it will come with full force. Everybody will be fighting. The next thing, there will be a bit of lax, and everything will relax, and these people will come back.
Yeah,
So they are back again in the system.
I will share an interesting experience I had about 15 or 12 years ago. In this Ikeja, a man came, they were in court, and I went there with a friend to go and listen to issues. And it was very obvious that this man owned the 16 acres of land. The Omonile had sold 2 out of the land. And they were in court, and I remember the Omonile was telling him that we will sell the remaining. Because what do you still need money for at your age? All your children in abroad. So we know that the law is weak in this area. And people's rights are being trampled upon in those areas. So how will an individual handle something like that?
The law, people always have a wrong impression about the law. The law is not weak. The law might take time, but
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's
it
what
might
I'm
take
saying.
time. You know, people want things to be done now. Let it get. It's not done that way. The law has to look at both sides. The judge will have to weigh the facts of both parties. The judge will not say that because the man is an old man, is this. No, the judge has to be there. He's an impartial arbiter. He has to weigh the facts of both parties there, weigh
In
the
a
evidence.
real-life situation.
Yes, we weigh the evidence.
But in a real-life situation.
No matter the situation, if that
Because
matter
we've
has
seen
gone.
judges
No, it
being
now depends
corrupted.
on the kind of law. I'm not going to talk into issues of judges or corruption or not judges corruption. I don't think that is part of our discussion. I'm not going to be involved in that kind of discussion. So, but the truth about it is that I know that the judges, it is not easy to be a judge. It is not an easy task. I will tell you authoritatively. When I see these judges, I feel for them. They make mistakes, I feel for them. Because when you see a judge, one judge saying he has 1,000 cases to work on, it's like, is he not a human being? Is he a robot? One judge is going to sit on 1,000 cases. He's going to give judgment on 1,000. He's going to give ruling. He's going to listen to 2 lawyers shout and banter. It's not easy. So the judge is an impartial arbiter that has to look at the facts. It depends on the kind of lawyer you have. If you have a lawyer that knows everything, because the law is not just about the law. There has to be a bit of street smartness as a lawyer. If as a lawyer you don't have some street smartness, then you would have problems. There's things that the lawyer could have done to have maybe curtailed. You find necessary applications before the court. Injunction, restraining parties from even entering the land. The mere fact that you enter the land and you go, that is even a violation of a court order. All these things, you put them in place, you put it before the court, and you make these things happen. It's not that Nigerians always want things to happen overnight, like magic. It's not done that way. Everybody, because number one, if the judge gives the wrong decision, the next thing is the person is going on appeal. The person is writing a petition against the judge or whoever. And the next thing, the judge is going there trying to fight for his own life, trying to fight for his own career or our own career. So he has to be an impartial arbiter, no matter how pained he feels personally of the situation. Why is it that when a man is found guilty of raping a child, why is the man not just killed immediately? Why does the man still have to go through trial? Why does the prosecution still have to prove its case when he has been caught in the act, but he still has to go to court? Because he has to be that before the eye of man and before God, the judge, because before you sentence somebody to death or you sentence somebody that you know that you have done everything possible to be sure that yes, the right thing has been done. Truly, yes. So those are the things you weigh. The pressure on our judges.
Are you also saying that it has been said most time that whether you win a case or not depends on the quality and the knowledge of the lawyer that you even have?
Yes, it happens because, this law is, like my late lecturer, may he so rest in peace, Professor Jadola SEN, just passed away in University of Ilorin those days. He used to say that the law is an amoeba. If we say it in Yoruba, say the law is an EOD. It has no shape. It is the shape you give it will take. It's an amoeba. It has no shape. So that means that different things happen differently on the law. Things will happen every day that will change the law. The way we have made this law, people are going to make it better. Because people, by way of advocacy, jurisprudence, they are going to bring in new innovations. Judges are going to see new things. The judiciary will see new things. They will adapt. They will change. The Supreme Court will give new judgments that will change things, that will become star decisis, become judicial precedents, that will be changed. So the law will keep evolving and changing. Now, as a lawyer, how do you now keep up with those times? You need to be on top of your game. You need to be on top of everything. You need to be ready. You need to have authorities. You need to read wide. That's why they say we keep on reading. You need to understand that. So you are abreast with the new facts that are coming up every day. Authorities come up every day from the Supreme Court that changes what the lower court, the Court of Appeal, the High Court, or the Magistrate Court will think. They might be thinking about it this way, but there's a Supreme Court authority that said it's this way. But you don't have a choice about it. You follow the Supreme Court authority because that is the highest body right now. There are so many.
We assume that they cannot make mistakes.
There are so many decisions that has affected me as an individual, as a lawyer, in cases that are found out to be unfair. But that is what the Supreme Court said. So the court is bound to uphold those. We are bound. So as a lawyer, you need to be on top of your game. You need to be ready to progress in yourself, develop yourself. That's why the Nigerian Bar Association is having so many kind of new ideologies to keep training lawyers. Continuous education for lawyers. In fact, they are making it compulsory now that lawyers, there's a certain amount of education, legal education you must attain a year before you get this, before you're able to, even before you are able to get your bar certificate going forward. I mean, your practicing license going forward. So many things are coming up because we need to be keeping abreast with the new things that are coming up.
So a client can be unfortunate with the kind of lawyer, yes.
Yes, it's not an impossibility. It's not an impossibility. Okay. Just like anybody can be unfortunate with the kind of doctor you have. Okay. You can be unfortunate with the kind of dentist you have. You can be unfortunate with everything. I've seen medical professionals make blunders on simple surgeries. I've heard cases, I've seen cases of that nature. So anybody can make mistakes. So everybody can.
So I'm passionate about this question I'm about, which is you've raised it, the legal, which is the Lagos Tenancy Law. 2011 regulates landlord-tenant relationship, outline right and obligation of residential and business premises and all of that. Now, you are bringing a new twist that I am not aware of, and maybe many of our you said it was generally believed that when you rent a year, when you have a year tenancy going on, you should have a 6 month. Now you said that if there's a clause of 1 year, why would the law accept some kind of clauses?
No, it's not the law, and the act is actually 2015. I think because there's been an upgrade from 2011 to 2015. It's not a hidden. They say it's been there. It's a simple language. This tenancy is for a year certain. That means I am taking my house back from you after 1 year. I'm only renting it for you for 1 year. That is certain. That's what I've said. Which is not a difficult thing. It's a clear language. It's English. My property is going to be letted out to you for a year certain. That means I am not going after this one. Then after 1 year,
to put that kind of clause.
It's not about. It's the wish of the owner of the property. You see, we make a lot of complaints.
So should an owner exact that kind of?
Yes, if he wants to use his property after a year, he's already telling you that I'm only giving you for a year. Is the trick? He's only telling you I'm only giving you for a year. Yeah, it's his right, it's his property.
But what if you give me such kind of document to sign?
Yeah.
Was it not in your own best interest to tell me that please be sure that you read every fine detail to know that there's
no lawyer that would give you a document that would not even tell you to take it to another lawyer to interpret. Even Peter in the book of Corinthians, when he was talking to the people there, he told them that if I am lying to you, go and read the good book to confirm what I'm saying to you is lying. So the truth that there's nobody that will give you, even when you come to me, I will tell you, do you want me to interpret or you have your lawyer to interpret to you? Will I read it out to you? If I say read it, I will not allow you sign documents without you reading it. Of course, I say take it to your lawyer. But the fact still remains, a lot of Nigerians don't want to engage professionals. They don't want to engage professionals. You don't want to pay a stipend to a lawyer to help you save your life. You don't want to pay. Just say, okay, please, can you help me read this document? Let me understand the fine print. What it means, what it's saying. Can you help me read this? We don't want to pay. And if you don't want to pay, how do you get these professional services? How do you get these professional services?
Because for me, this is the first time I'm hearing that.
No,
and I've been
it's
renting out for
a
a year. And I assume that the law says that you should give me 6 months.
no. The law says that if you are a yearly tenant, you are entitled to a 6 months notice. If you are a half-yearly tenant, you are entitled to a 3 months notice. If you are a quarterly tenant, you are entitled to a 3 month notice. If you are a monthly tenant, you are entitled to a monthly notice. All this is stated in Section 13 of the Tenancy Act 2015, Lagos State Tenancy Act.
So
it's
why
clearly
the,
stated
why
there.
the
That is not saying
subtle
that one is saying that this landlord is only renting this property out to you for 1 year. That is why it's telling you it is for a year certain. He has not exceeded this. The Lagos State Tenancy, you only pay for 1 year. He has told you you're only paying me for 1 year. After 1 year, you leave my property. Simple. At that point in time, I'm not entitled to give you
I've
6
seen
months
cases,
notice.
it requires that you get a receipt for everything, yearly receipt and all those stuff.
Yes.
When you don't have a receipt as a tenant,
You demand for it.
what are the implications?
You have to demand for your receipt. How can you be making payment of something and you don't demand for your receipt? It's like if you go to LG and you are buying a television or an AC and you are living there without the receipt, and our brothers in black stop you and say, where did you get this thing for? What will you say? They'll say, bring the receipt you used in buying it. And I say, I just bought it. Where's the receipt? You have to demand for your receipt. You have made payment. Somebody has collected money from you for something. You demand for your receipt. It is your right. It is not.
What if the person say, we are together?
There's no we are together.
Because I can tell you for sure that I have friends who have been paying rent for years
not been collecting
and
receipts.
they've not been collecting receipts.
They are on their own.
What is the implication for such?
No, there's not. You have not collected your receipt. Have you asked for it and it was not given? That is the question.
No, if you go to law and the person...
No, that is the question. Did you ask from the lawyer or the landlord and they did not issue you a receipt? Or they said, no, we are not giving you a receipt? You are entitled to a receipt.
Law, if you go to law court, if there's any issue and there's a matter of court and the landlord deny payment, so you will still be in trouble.
No, the landlord cannot deny payment because there's a relationship. Automatically, he has created a relationship. You have lived in that house for 1 year. So it is implied that you have paid him. So it is implied whether he gives you a receipt or not.
So the court will not find you.
No, there's no. It's just a foolishness on your own part for you not to have collected receipts for what you have paid for. If it's possible, if you are buying granite and the woman can issue a receipt, collect receipt from the granite seller that you bought the granite.
So, but with your own 1 year SR, it means that you have to be collecting agreement every year.
Well, that is a strategy that with lawyers, you want to talk about our strategy publicly now. You want us to give us strategy, everybody will now start looking like that. That is strategy for us to go out to.
So that at least to avoid the 6 month notice.
No, it's not.
What about a case?
It helps everybody.
I have a case where the moment the tenant pays the money, they told him that we're using the house when this one expires without no legal documentation, nothing. And then at the end of the 1 year, the guy was saying that I want to stay for 6 months more. What does the law says in that?
No, if you paid a rent for 1 year and
the person told you as you're paying that, okay, I'm saying that you have been a regular tenant for years,
yes,
and then this one when you are paying, you say, okay, this 1 year, that's what I myself want to use it, but it's a verbal agreement.
It's a verbal agreement. Yes, verbal agreement is not as if it's still not an agreement. A verbal agreement still means that it's not a verbal agreement.
As long as the tenant
you can make an agreement to the whole world. You can make an agreement to the whole world. There's this famous case we always use in law when we were doing law of contract. It's called Carbolic Smoke Ball Company. I can't remember. You do it in contract. Like you make a contract to the whole world. You can do it. Carbolic Smoke Ball. It's one of those cases we use those when you do law of contract. You can make a contract with the world. So having an oral contract with you does not mean it's not a contract. It's still binding. You have said it. You have agreed. Now you have said, I'm using my house for 1 year. And after 1 year, I want my property back. And if after that 1 year, I come to you and say, please give me 6 months. If you agree, you agree. If you don't want to agree, you say no. I've told you it's for 1 year, it's for 1 year. It's straightforward. It's not, these things are not difficult, and neither is it. But most of the time, it is always good for parties to document. It's always good for parties to document their.
One thing that is also an issue is the law specific about how many years should a landlord increase their rent?
No,
Some say 2 years, some say after 1 year, some say...
I think I've read through the Lagos State Tenancy Law back to back. I've not seen anything with respect to that. I've not seen anywhere the law says there's a particular year or period in which a landlord should. The only thing the law says under Section 37 of the Act, it talks about unreasonable increase in rent. Unreasonable increase in rent, Section 37. When you just increase, everybody's going through hardship. The landlords should know that. But even at that, when you look at it critically, who do you blame? Is it the landlord that has spent money to build it?
So what is reasonable increment?
Well, reasonable increment is a relative term. It's a relative term. That's what I would say. It's a relative term. So you mean
that in terms of increment, I can, as a landlord, I can choose to increase my rent every year?
No, that would be unreasonable. That would be unreasonable. I think that is what Lagos State right now, with all the various laws and agitation that has been coming out from this, I think is this lady, Miss Bakari or something from Lasara or something, or they're trying to fight all those landlords that are increasing rent. People have actually come to me to say that their landlords increase rent every year. And I've been, how is that possible? Why will your landlord increase rent every year? That's highly unreasonable. That's evil. Every year is wrong.
What if it's every 2 years? What is the reasonable? Like I was
it
asking,
depends on the...
Some people say that it should be not beyond 20% increment in the last option.
Well, I don't know where that is stated. It now depends on the landlord himself, because there are a lot of landlords that I know that have not increased their rent in 5 years.
I know some too.
I know landlords that have not increased in 3 years. In fact, I know landlord that has not increased in 10 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's no stipulated time.
In fact, I know a landlord that has not increased in 17 years. Yes.
The issue of...
Yes, in Lagos here. In this Lagos, I know a landlord that has not increased rent in 17 years.
That means he's not living on that.
No, it's not the rent. The rent is the rent was not anything, but it's just that some people are passionate about helping other people. That's what we have to understand in society.
The other thing that I want to raise about this tenancy issue is we have agency going to more beyond the thing. Is there a stipulated, because you have 20% agency, 20% agreement, 10% this thing, and by the time you calculate that is more than the money, what does the law say about
I think that is where the Lagos State is now trying to really come on and clamp on these agents, because it's actually unbecoming. The agents are actually becoming a problem.
And oftentimes you are supposed to pay 1 year, and then you are now paying
agency for 2 years, which is wrong. Which is wrong. Truly, that's wrong. And I think that's where they are saying that you should report to them.
How many, you know that there's shortage of house. How many agents will you report to?
The problem that we still have, it still boils down to the future of Lagos State and every other state. Because if they were actually building low-income houses for people to be able to access and pay this thing. If you go to the UK, you have council flats of 1 bedroom, council flats of 2 bedroom, council flats on 3. Depending on the size of your family, you move to these flats. If we had something similar, the government was investing in all these little issues, the landlords will not have any person to come and rent their house. They'll be begging people to rent their houses. Most of us will be staying in estates, government-owned estates. That is where we are having our problems. If we don't have, but you see most of these developers have taken order, they're building houses that they are selling 250 million. How many of us will go to buy that? Is it the teachers that are earning 65,000 or 100,000 per night wants to buy a house for 250 million? It's not possible. So if the government was actually building these houses all over the place, these landlords will not have a choice. They will drop their rents. But because we are at their mercy, there's no house anywhere. There's no house.
That brings us to the next question, which is, we have Lagos State Real Estate Regulatory Authority Board, Law 2021. And we know that every person just build their own estate and they want to sell it at any... Is there a regulation that say that you can't sell beyond, if it's a 2-bedroom, if it's a 3-bedroom, you can't sell beyond this amount?
I don't think there's anything of that nature.
So everybody is free to do whatever they like.
They bought their cement at their own price. Did the Lagos State government regulate the price of cement for them? Yes, it's the truth now. Let's be very candid and be sincere. You cannot just come and say you want to regulate when you have not actually done something to actually assist these people. You see them buying their cement. You see them, the prices of development where they use. Maybe the man has earmarked that to finish building this house will cost me 50 million. But inflation over the year, that 1 year that is not unable to finish, that price goes up to 100 million. Where is the support from the government that has assisted him in completing that? He has to make his money back. He has to make time value of money, and he sells. So if government is not able to, it still boils down to the same thing. I cannot build my house with my hard-earned money or with my retirement savings. And you not tell me how much I should sell it or how much I should. It's not possible.
Because there was no control.
Exactly. There's nothing. Why don't you build your own? Then you cannot control it properly. You will help the single parent that just needs a room and parlor and everything, because the prices of these rents out there are really, really outrageous.
I appreciate the fact that you also understand that as a lawyer that the prices are becoming outrageous. The agency and things are becoming something. Because of our time, I know I would like to have a second phase of this conversation. There's Lagos State building control law that is supposed to do, which is the 2019, established to ensure building safety and all of that. We've found many times that some of these agency staffs close their eyes to some of these buildings when they are being constructed, and then you find out that at the end of the day, it's the tenant that suffer because there will now be crack and other issues. What should a tenant or anybody who is looking for a house do about the safety? Do you think that it's also important to get a structural engineer to look
at it? It is very important for you to carry out your proper due diligence on everything you do. You want to buy a property, do the proper checks. Go to lands, search the property. There are no encumbrances. There are no mortgages. Go to Surveyor General's office, check it. The property is not under government acquisition. It's not encumbered in any way. You do all the needful and do other kind of search just to ensure. Likewise, when you're buying a property, do the test. Because, like you said, that issue is an issue for the governor or for whoever runs that particular department to checkmate those issues. Yeah, we've had series of properties that have collapsed on people. But who are you? Who is going to complain? Is it the people that the property has collapsed on that they have died? Is it the people that the property has collapsed on that they have died? There's one property around my area, Ojodu, that collapsed. They call the place, it used to be where they eat food. The property collapsed on people there. Who wants to complain? In fact, the funny thing is that I've eaten in that place like 3 or 4 times under the decking. The thing collapsed just recently. In Ojodu there, it collapsed on people.
So
they tried and everything, but it has happened.
Should the victims and survivors have in things like
who
that?
Who are you going to go after? Is it the owner of the property or the government? Or who is it? Let's be very honest with ourselves. Where has it always happened that things like that happen and there's somebody held accountable? No, let's be very sincere. Where has it happened, or where has it happened that things happen like that? Then one particular individual is held accountable, is charged, or he's this, or is told to pay something, or is told to pay some form of compensation.
What we see, the government will just acquire the land.
To acquire the property, and that's it. And
but in cases where the person is a big person,
yes,
they allow the thing.
We know all these things. We know what is happening. We know what is that. So sometimes most of those questions are better addressed to the government themselves. Let them come, because as individuals, if we have to speak from the standpoint of where we are coming from, the pain that we feel, the law. What did we do? Who has been prosecuted on any of those things? How many? I don't know. Maybe they have. Maybe I'm not abreast. I'm not saying it might not have happened, but most of the time, what is the compensation of the people? Did they even know the people that have died? Were they able to extract the body to actually find out that this person belonged to this person was this person's husband or this person's son? I heard the whole family died in that collapse. The husband and the wife and the children went to eat breakfast. They all went. So who do you now go after to? Like when you have accidents on the road, all these trailers that are not supposed to be on the road, when they collapse on that, especially on that axis.
What has happened?
What happened? Who was the owner of the truck? Was the truck driver called? The owner of the truck was he was vicariously liable for the death? What happened? Where what happened was the family, the people that died, there were two couples that had just gotten married.
Yeah, I read about
in
that.
Anglican Church, Omole.
Yeah.
I know that church because I'd actually gone to that particular church for my friend's son's dedication. So they just did the dedication on that day. They were killed. The wife just came from America, married, and they were going back. The woman died, the husband died. So whose compensation is he going to there? Was it the truck driver that was going to pay, or the owner of the truck? Who was prosecuted for that? So it's the same thing with all those things. We just have to try as much as possible to make sure that we do better for ourselves as Nigerians. We speak out when we have to speak out. We should be fearless. We should know what to say right time. Don't be afraid of anything. I keep telling my client when they come, I have a problem. Police, I will either say, you kill person. Or is money matter? It's who is alive that will pay. Why are you afraid? If you have done something wrong, tell me you have done something wrong. We'll go about knowing how to rectify, how to address it. But if it's not, you don't need to be afraid. You don't need to be afraid.
Barr Suleiman, I really appreciate your time here. I would like to have a follow-up. And our viewers, I also want you to give us feedback on this conversation so that the next episode or the follow-up we are doing, it will be the question you have asked. One of my takeaways as a person from this is the fact that if a lawyer knows his way or the landlord knows his way, there's nowhere you have a right to 6 months after your money when it happens. You understand? If they put it exact 1 year, the fact also remains that it means that when that thing happens, also always before you sign, make sure that you read the fine lines and the fine details. Thank you for this session. To all our viewers, I want to say thank you. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also, if you have anything that you want to tell us that you cannot share through our DM on Twitter, LinkedIn, and all of them, please do send us a mail at info@difficultconversation. Please go out there with the knowledge that you need a lawyer. Do proper checkup for everything you are doing. Don't try to evade paying 10 naira while you will now eventually have to pay 100,000 naira or dollar at the end of the day.
Yes.
See you and thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to this episode. For inquiry, please send an email to info@difficultconversationafrica.org. Telephone 0809 3160 591. Please follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Difficult Conversation Africa. See you soon.